on, guys? Garrett from On Point here with Ron from Oregon Grown.
Oregon Grown.
And that's not a pot growing channel. That is a hunt channel, guys, and steelhead fishing. So if you were watching this on my channel, give these guys a follow. Brand new channel, awesome guys, and I expect some really cool content coming out of this here from hunting from you guys. You got some elk tags and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, looking forward to 9 days.
So, but before we get into hunting season here, we're gonna have some tuning stuff going on, which is why I'm here today. I wanted to help these guys out. Ron's got some head scratchers going on, so they think they got some stuff figured out real quick, but we're gonna basically just start over and try and build confidence up from ground zero, basically, right?
Right.
So he's getting, why don't you tell him what you're experiencing real quick, and then we'll try and troubleshoot it.
We started out, field tips were good, went to the Broadheads, was doing good, and then all of a sudden, it just seemed like day and night, had an issue where I was either high left, low right. And so couldn't figure it out, kept shooting. Started shooting yesterday and noticing some tears on my fletching. New to the deadlock, so we're gonna mess with that. Just trying to figure out what's hitting where and trying to get everything lined back out, so we're good to go.
So what we're gonna check first is basically paper tune. I brought my tape measure so we can check center shot. We're gonna make sure that the arrow is running through the burger properly, and then we're gonna basically just check it all. And luckily he's shooting a Bowtech Revolt X or Revolt? Revolt, which has the cam lock system, so it should be pretty easy. I actually did this review on this bow before he even bought it, so I shot and tuned this bow straight out of the box before he even hit the shelf, so I'm already familiar with it. It should be a pretty easy process, hopefully, and let's go ahead and start. So let's just start through paper, and then we'll just start rolling through the process.
Good.
Okay. So based off of that would be a high left tear. That means the fletchings are hitting over here. You can see the point is hitting over here. So there are some adjustments that we can do with that. So what you do is that you would slightly raise the rest. I can already tell back from when I looked at it previously when he was shooting, center shot's already a little wonky, and that's probably something we can either fix with the rest, preferably, based off of what I'm already seeing, or we can fix it with the cam locks. So that's not a really bad tear. That's actually a pretty good tear. So we'll go ahead and fix that first. It did look like prior to the video they showed me that he was probably getting some cable contact. So yeah, let's go ahead and start with that, and then we'll probably reshoot again and just see where we can get it. In order to check center shot, guys, we're gonna have to actually get this cluster of a knot here. So it'll take me a second, maybe we'll just fast forward it through this part for you. But in order to check center shot, this has to be up, and you're not gonna do that. So with it at full tension. So we're gonna have to undo this real quick, let the tension off, and then I can check it. Typically you wanna be about 7/8, you know, somewhere around there. Anywhere really around there within a 1/16 to an 1/8, you're gonna be good. But this will take me a second to get this off here. There we go. Let's see your arrow there. So what we're checking, guys, is basically how far the arrow is off of the riser. And like I said, 13/16, 7/8, somewhere in there. So we might move them out just a hair. I go a little farther out, and then you can see why he's getting a knock low, or excuse me, a knock high tear, right? You can see that angle of that arrow is kind of pointing down. It should be right there, with the bottom of it running through the middle of the burger hole. So if you guys are wondering what a burger hole is, it's basically just the rest hole, right, where your mounting bolt goes into. That's what people call the burger hole, and instead of going down through that, it should be level, running straight through the middle. That's another adjustment we're gonna have to make, and I think that's gonna help us out a little bit too. So we started with the rest because that's like a much easier, quicker way to start. And now you can see, and granted guys, you should be doing this with a level, but we're out here at the range trying to solve an issue. So what you have here is, I'll try and hold it level. It's actually, we didn't need to move the D-loop. We were able just to raise it, and that D-loop was already high enough to make sure that it was still level with in the middle of the burger holes. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but this will solve our tail high.
So when you're moving that horizontal,
Yeah.
is that the same as chasing arrow, or are you going the opposite direction? So if I'm left and I want to go back to the right with the arrow where it's hitting, do I move the rest left or do I move the rest right?
The arrow's going to go whatever way you move the rest.
Okay.
Because that's where your point is now pointing.
Right.
So, and really any adjustments I make from here are probably going to be with the cam locks, because I really don't want to take myself out more than 1/8 of an inch outside of where center shot is. And plus these are so darn easy to move over left and right to get that string behind the knock, behind the arrow. It's just the way to do it, especially here at the range. So we still may have a bad tear, but we can easily get rid of it with that cam lock system. So shot number 2, again, tear might not be the best, but now we got the bow pretty much where it should be spec wise. Center shot and burger hole height is right there, arrow, bottom of the arrow running right through the middle of it, and we're gonna give it another go. So now you can see this is our first tear, right? We were slightly high, now we're level, and now it's showing that we need to move the point to the right, or to the left, excuse me. Now we are knock right. So we're gonna get that even farther, a little farther away from the bow, but actually we can just move the cams to where they need to be behind the knock. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick, and we'll shoot another arrow.
You just kind of eye it, or like count how many turns you've done and try to do as even as you can on the bottom?
You want, yeah, pretty much. I mean, what we're doing is basically we're putting the string behind the arrow.
Right.
And
are those touchies?
no, they move pretty slow.
Okay.
It's a pretty solid proof. If you want to tighten it back down, it's a pretty solid system. I mean, it's actually my favorite tuning system I'm using right now. Because any other bow, you'd really have to take it to the shop to do what we're doing right now. And shim it or yoke tune. You got scared, but look at that tear.
Yeah.
So we kind of got lucky, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know how far they needed to really come over here because we don't have a vise and all that stuff. But
Shoot it down lower.
we need another shot, but you can see it's gonna be pretty darn close. So like I said, this system's so easy, guys. Not to make it a Bowtech plug, but they got it right. All right, guys, so next step in the process, we're gonna say that he paper tuned, and now we're just gonna re-sight in and then make sure that the shooter on his parts are doing his end, the arrow's not wobbling or flailing on the arrow's end, and then that the bow is still shooting good. But really we're gonna focus on Ron now, and then sighting in and moving the sight to where it needs to be, and just keep going down the process. So let's go ahead and hopefully we'll shoot for yeah, I'd start at 20 just to be safe,
okay,
and then we'll work our way back. You're aiming at the top left?
I'm aiming at the red.
Oh, at the red. So that actually makes sense, because what do? We move the rest way higher, right? Because it was the point down is what we had, so we raised it. And so he's shooting like 2 feet high now. And we also moved it to where his point is farther away from the riser to get that center shot right. So it makes sense why he's shooting high left.
So the arrow went where it was supposed to.
The arrow went where it was supposed to. To break that down, basically he's going to follow his arrow with his sight. So he's going to move his sight high and left, which he's done. So you can see each time his arrow's getting closer and closer to that red bullseye out there. But you're basically with the sight, you're following your arrow. So prior to us tuning, Ron was getting really erratic arrow flight. I mean, one arrow would be right in the bullseye, and then the other one would be 2 feet high, and then they'd come in at weird angles. Broadheads would be all over. Sometimes he couldn't even hit a Reinhardt at 30. So we're just really focusing on him shooting at a larger bullseye. I originally stated, let's shoot at that one over here, but I want him feeling like his pin's not floating all over the place. A larger bullseye is easier to aim at, less stress for the shooter. You feel like you can just execute his shot easier and not really have any target panic issues, if there are any. I'm not saying Ron does, but that's why I'm going for the red dot out here in the middle. So Let's keep smoking that red dot, Ron, and then we'll figure out where we're at. Did you feel like these were in
like
there?
those were all me.
All you? Okay.
This one followed the pin.
So what you guys are going to see, and I used to have groups that looked identical to this, so I'm going to make some assumptions about this. It's probably a shooter error, and this is why I'm saying that. A lot of guys there's two things you can do here. A lot of pros will come down onto the target. That way they're not fighting gravity the whole time. They just let the bow come down nice and slow. I used to come up on the target, and I just would hang right here when I had target panic. I'm guessing what's happening is Ron's maybe coming down, getting down here, and then right at the end he's dropping down, and as it's executing the shot. A lot of guys, when they start leaving the area of the bullseye, that's when they'll punch it, and so he's probably leaving the exit out the bottom, and that's where his shot's actually breaking. So what we're gonna do, and he felt like these were all him too anyways, so that's probably a little bit of a torque and a little bit of a drop in your bow issue. So we're just gonna,
This was a punch.
and that was a totally punch the trigger he said on that one. So we'll go ahead and just focus on making good shots, and that's what we're gonna have to do here. And you might even just, at one point, just blank bell. I mean, just starting from scratch. That's in there. Hey! Well, that's a good one to end it on right there.
That sounded good.
So there's a lot to be said here, guys. We could either force Ron and just tell him, no, this is how you do it, this is how you do it. Well, we know what's working for him. We're less than 2 weeks out from season. So guys, a lot of guys like to tweak stuff. I'm one of those guys. A lot of guys like to tweak stuff right before season when they're shooting good. So instead of building those good habits now, he's been shooting like that for how long?
30 years.
So why force him to change something he's been doing for that long, less than 2 weeks before season? If this is how he's going to shoot, shooting the way he's shooting, and the bow's going to do its job, I'm a big fan. Even if it's not proper, you're going to get way more accuracy doing what is best for him naturally. So we can always come back and fix it after the season.
I had a guy, the guy that originally showed me how to shoot, told me, I don't care if you're doing it wrong, you'll do it wrong every single time.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just something that I fell into. You know, I don't use my bow. It becomes too much. But the biggest point that I have to watch is getting on YouTube and watching all the experts, and then thinking to myself, oh, I'm wrong.
Right.
I got to go change that. Right. Oh, my shot execution's bad. You know, I need to go to a hinge. I need to do that. This isn't working. But you got to just hit it narrow.
Yeah. At 30 yards.
And
I've said it a million times, guys. We can walk down and pull his arrows, but I've said it a million times. If shooting form and shooting processes, it's like a track. You got to find your lane inside that track. So as long as that track is, let's say, the foundations of shooting, everybody's going to have their own lane. And so Ron's picking his lane, and he's running with it. And let's see how he did. So now you weren't getting that prior to us messing with your bow.
I was not able to put I wasn't able to put two this close.
So one thing that I saw when we were working on his bow, we might mess with his D-loop a little bit. We'll see how his broadheads are flying. I wasn't seeing any knock pinch in his tears, but if he's got some erratic broadhead flight or anything like that, that would be the first thing I go to. And then also, like we said, before we fixed the bow, his second arrow a lot of times would be up here, and then he'd be down here. So
and with the broadheads, I would have this.
Right. And so what that broadhead's doing is that vane is slapping the cable guards is what it was doing. It was slapping the cable guards, and then it was pointing in a certain direction, and that broadhead's going that way.
Right.
So sometimes it would react different when it hit the cable guard different based on what arrow you were shooting. The flex might be a little bit different, and that's why you're getting sporadic broadhead flight. So I'm going to call this a win, Ron, and I think you're shooting good enough to start hunting, and maybe we can toss a broadhead on there and just see how we're doing. Broadhead attempt number 1. Oh baby. Oh baby. Let's not even shoot another arrow. We're good. All right, guys. So I said, we might still need to do some tweaking even after all the stuff that we did, because we just got it close. But check out how good he shot here. That is pretty darn good from not being able to consistently hit a Reinhardt to now being maybe half an inch from a bullseye. That could be shooter error. Well inside my realm of accuracy. I mean, shoot, that could be the shooter, that could be the broadhead, but we are so close and perfectly within spec. Center shot, knock height, everything. That it's no wonder why that broadhead just hit where it was at. So I think we're on our way. We could even move that thing out to 30 and keep going. But the guys, that's this video. I think we should end it there. We just got a bow that wouldn't shoot a broadhead at 20 yards at a Reinhardt, and within 20 minutes now we're shooting bullseyes at a Reinhardt. And this is real world stuff. We were talking off camera a second ago that, you know, this is stuff that people are dealing with. We're 9 days before season.
9 days.
And, you know, if you guys have questions, reach out to Zach or Ron or get a hold of me, whatever. If you're watching this on their channel, that's totally cool, fine. Get a hold of one of us, and I'm always trying to help. I'm pretty good at answering questions. I know these guys have a really good heart about this and want to help people as well. So, appreciate you for listening. Be sure to subscribe. If you're watching my channel, Oregon Grown Outdoors, or is it just Oregon Grown? Just Oregon Grown. I'll put a link up in the end of this video. Click it to subscribe to them, and appreciate you guys for watching.